Hey guys, so we are going to take a look. This is going to be the example game for the bug deck. We are doing our look at three color decks. So we are going to start with the BUG Aggro deck here. Um, so this was the opening hand. Definitely not good. There's not a single land. They're going to have to drop to 6. Now this was the 6 card hand. I do have a turn 1 play into Raven's Crime. But doing that will not allow me to top deck into Coiling Oracle on turn 2 since it is out of color. We do still at least hold a possibility of turn 3 Civic Wayfinder. This is not a good hand to keep. I will straight up say this. We are on the play, we are not on the draw, so we do not get that extra chance to get that extra card and get this happening. But I did go on a chance here. I did decide to keep this hand instead of dropping to 5. Um, you know, I couldn't tell you my reasoning. I just felt that I was going to be able to pull it off because I had that Civic Wayfinder in hand. So I did start off with a turn 1 Raven's Crime. We get rid of Sonai Drake. Kind of a not so great card, but it tells me that my opponent is playing definitely black and either blue or red with that, or both. Now he starts off with the Halmer Depths. We are clearly looking at a blue and black version of some kind of aggro he's got going on here with this. And this is, I guess it's okay. It's flying, it's haste. But for 4 cost, I want something a little bit better in my deck. So we do manage to turn 2 get another land. That's great. But again, you see we cannot hit this Coiling Oracle on turn 2 because we are missing the blue mana. And we're going to have to wait till turn 3 and hope that we get that third land. Opponent, luckily gets kind of stuck with these comes into play tapped lands. Starting off with the turn 1 depths, that's not so bad. Having to play Lonely Sandbar is a little troublesome. Mostly frustrating because you can't get, things going. Turn 3 here, you see draw a second Coiling Oracle and cannot play. Gonna have to just, be at my opponent's whim here. He does get stuck on another Lonely Sandbar, and making no play. And now I'm thinking he's heavier on the blue control because he's only played blue lands. And I still am not topping into a land that I need. At this point in time, all I need is a single land. I can play Civic Wayfinder, I can play the Rager. I just need a third land, that's all. The opponent passes the turn, so luckily he's kind of getting stuck as well on this. Hit an Agony Warp, again, out of color, we're missing the blue mana. Which is, something that you will run into because there are only 3 islands. You want to make an effort to get those out as soon as you can with the Terramorphics and Civic Finders. So he does sift through the sands to draw through some cards there. I'm guessing that he was looking for a black mana source, and he did find a Baron Moor. So he could play that on my turn. Again, I'm kind of lucking out because these are comes into play tapped lands. And that's kind of stalling him enough that I could draw this third land finally on turn 6. Really, really late for a third land. And I do decide that the right play here is to play the Civic Wayfinder so I can not miss another land drop. I've already missed several. I'm way behind. I'm at 3 land on turn 6. This will at least allow me to get land number 4 into play on turn 7, which I think is the most important thing. And like I said, you want to go for the islands as soon as you get the opportunity. You don't need all 3. 2 is great. 1 is a definite need. So we get that as soon as possible. I'm just popping open my grave there so you can see that I still have Raven's Crime. But so I do make that play, and on my next turn I will have some options. You see I do draw into another land here as well. This is good, and I'm going to start to be able to kind of recover. But I do want to get that island into play first. Opponent plays a Gutless Ghoul. We're going to swing and attempt to take it out. And being that he's black, we are kind of at a disadvantage because we have 4 dead cards with the Doom Blades. But, we're going to still swing out in an attempt to trade. He does decide to trade this and not sacrifice it to gain life. So, it's really good there. I didn't want to. That can become, really troublesome later on. Now we are going to play Coiling Oracle. I think this is the right play here because again, it's going to give me that opportunity to get a land into play and kind of catch up from where I was. I'm several land drops behind, and this will at least give me the opportunity to catch up to that. And if I don't, you see here, I hit the Warren Pilfers. I'm still, getting hand advantage from that. and I will have the 5 mana available to play that on the next turn. And we do have a creature to get back with that as well, so that's going to be pretty good. So now he plays down a black cat and a second black cat, and these are going to be a little troublesome. Um, there's kind of a minor debate between black cat and ravenous rats. Ravenous rats is discard when it comes in, which is great, but the black cat, it has to die before its ability happens, but it does discard at random, which is pretty good. So we hit land drop number 5. I am going to start and attack into the black cats. He's going to, trade one, obviously. I did this from the start, and I may have played this wrong, but I wanted a full hand, so there was a lot more opportunities to kind of get rid of things. I really don't know. This is maybe a bad play. Maybe the right call should have been to play something first that I didn't want discarded, but basically everything in this hand I really didn't want discarded. So I took the chance, and he did. It kind of worked in my favor. It discarded one of my Worm Pilfers, which is great because it gives the other one haste. And here I make a mistake at this turn. I see the Pilfers and I get excited and I play the other one. But this is not the right move. What I should have done is play something else, basically anything else on that turn. Maybe the Rage or maybe the other Oracle, and save the Pilfer for next turn, because I do get this other Worm Pilfers back, but giving this one haste after combat is useless. There's no benefit there from that, so it's just recurring the creature. So now my opponent is going to kill it with Rend Flesh, and that gives me another opportunity to use the other Worm Pilfers. Once you get 2 of these going, you can kind of get in this loop of being able to trade them back and forth so that there's always one in play. Now he also splices onto Arcane the Soulless Revival, which is going to let him bring back a black cat, which is quite annoying, I will say so. So playing another forest, no real need to play the swamp. I'm going to keep it in my hand to hopefully chuck to a black cat later on. But I did want to at least hit double green and double blue, just to have those play options. So now I'm going to be able to play the Pilfers. I am going to return the other one and give this one haste. So this is where what I really wanted to have done last turn, but I guess it did at the very least eat a Rend Flesh. And now I'm going to pass the turn. He plays black cat and follows it with another black cat. This is more annoying than anything else. I'm going to be able to attack into it with the Pilfer, and he's going to trade. But I'm going to have to discard 3 cards at random. So I decided that the best play here was to start with the Mulldrifter and fill my hand up, and hope that it would work out in my favor. So swing with the Pilfers, and it's actually going to, I figure if I keep the swamp, I have a play at the rats later on. But we're gonna see here. He does trade all 3, and I'm going to have to discard if it passes along here. Okay, there we go. So it gets rid of my other Pilfer, which is not good. Coiling Oracle, not a big loss. And then it gets rid of the rats. So I lost my 2 mana play there, which was a little disappointing. But I am now going to play the land, and just on the fact that now I'm not worried about discard so much. So we're going to pass the turn now to my opponent, see what he's got up his sleeve now. Kind of getting into low hand here. But he's still able to put out 2 of these Deathspore Thalids. So I could see he clearly had something going on with lots of kind of token generation that he wanted to kind of jump block with. Still dead cards in Doomblade, but I am going to be able to, at the very least, draw some cards. I used that swamp to discard another card and get rid of yet another ghoul here. At this point I've got plenty of land in play. Like I said, I may play a second island, but there's no need at this point in time to play any other lands. So we're going to swing through with the evasion. We're only looking at Agony Warp as the only thing that it's going to be able to kill, but I am going to draw cards off the Rager and leave the mana open for the Agony Warp on this turn. So my opponent kind of shows his hand now. What he was kind of building off of, he's got the Nantuko Husk, which, you know, I can see now with the Ghoul and the Black Cats and the recursion on the Black Cats, what he was kind of going for, and it's kind of a cool idea. I will give it to him. This is going to be troublesome. He does use that to get another Black Cat back, and he's going to have this Husk to be able to throw that away whenever he wants. And kind of makes some interesting points in time when I'm going to have to be able to use the warp, because at this point he can sacrifice, you know, a bunch of creatures to avoid the -3 and have the Husk survive. So I'm going to have to be kind of aware of that. So now we're going to attack through the air unblocked. To draw into another Muldrifter here, we can get, you know, yet more cards to the hand now that we can. You know, we know we're going to have to discard to another Black Cat, so I want to kind of draw cards where I can. I decided to play the Rager instead so that I can still have mana open for the Agony Warp later on, and hopefully be able to kill off the Husk. So he attacks through. I am going to block with it. He decides to sacrifice the Black Cat to it. Now I do Agony Warp. I was going to try and force him to sacrifice this Thallid, by giving the Thallid -0, -3, and the Husk -3, -0. So it turns into a 1/4, and then after the cat, unfortunately, it's going to make it a 3/6. But I got rid of the Thallid. You know, it leaves him with just one left that he can sack to it. So now it's my turn, drawn to another Agony Warp, which is great, but I am going to play the Muldrifter so that I have cards available. And, you know, I said earlier I wasn't going to play any more lands, but I have the opportunity to play yet another Rager, so I do drop that land so I can make the play. Having him tapped out with the Husk, I do want to swing through with the Rager. If he wants to block with a Thallid, that puts me in a position of, you know, that I want. But he's instead going to, you know, of course, not block and just take the damage. So he's got enough that he can make a Saproling token, which he does sacrifice to the Husk and kill off a Rager. I'm going to hold the Terramorphic. I can use that now for the Raven's Crime later on, but he's got no cards in hand right now, so there's no point. Drawn to a Pilferer, I am going to be able to use that and return another Pilferer. I had 2 in my graveyard currently, and now I can attack through. And even if he blocks one, he's going to go down to 3 life, and he decides just to let it all go through and take the game. So there you go. Hope that's a nice example of how this deck works for you.